Hi, everybody. We're going to get started real quick with the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, but I'm setting up my YouTube stream as well because I'm so fancy. All right. And then I'm going to pull up the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit because we're going to work through the kit together. Just as a reminder, I am working through the kit every weekday in the mornings, and we're going page by page. So that's really exciting. So let me go ahead and get it pulled up. We left off on Friday with doing the reconciliation inside the kit. And my kit's workbooks that I ordered to ship to y'all should be here this evening. So I'm really excited about that. And for people on YouTube, I've got my phone set up right here because I'm fancy. So if you see me looking in this general direction, just know that I have my phone. It's not like a ghost. So the people on YouTube, I go live every morning on TikTok to work through the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit with y'all. And I was going to repost those streams to YouTube, like the recordings of the streams. But then I just decided I can go live on TikTok and YouTube at the same time. So I'm live here on TikTok. I'm live on YouTube. And I just pulled up the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit workbook on my computer so that we can work through this together. So a quick recap of what we've done so far. Last week, we did part 1 of the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, which is setting up QuickBooks Online. First we covered how you're going to use the kit because, I don't just throw anybody to the wolves. I don't just, take money from people and then disappear and not help them actually work through the materials that they purchase from me. So the first step of the kit, like part 0, is how to use the kit and how to establish a routine for working through the kit. And one of the great things about the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, whenever you purchase it, you get a 30-day free trial inside my private community. And so as you're working through the modules and the parts in the kit, you're watching the videos, you're filling out the workbook, you are going to have access to the community where you can ask questions. Good morning, Anthony. Good morning, Bob, Grow, Jean. It's so nice to see you. I'm talking about the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit today, and I'm letting y'all know about what's included, but the first thing that we do in the kit is give you access to the community. You get 30 days free inside the Mind the Gap community, which is where I do a live video tutorial every month. I do a live Q&A every month, and I do 2 virtual office hours every month. So when you purchase the kit, you get the 30-day free trial of the community, and you get access to 4 different live calls with me. Well, there's really 3 live calls and 1 extra video tutorial every month inside the community. So how to use the kit is to first establish when you're going to be working on this material, when you're going to actually schedule in time to sit down and work through it. And then you also get the community access because it's not just me in there, but it's my clients who are either working through the kit themselves or they are my clients who I do the monthly bookkeeping for. Good morning, Jeremy. Thanks so much for joining. Go ahead and tap that screen if you are a QuickBooks Online user because we're going to be diving in to the next part of the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit today. I'm just giving a little bit of a recap of what we covered last week for folks who are new and joining us at this point. And don't worry if you missed last week because my intention is to go live every weekday that I'm working and work through the kit with you page by page. So when we get to the end, the next day we will just start over from the beginning of the kit all over again. Now, you might be asking yourself, why are you doing this? Because you sell the kit for money. And yeah, I do. It is my 10 plus years of expertise with bookkeeping and QuickBooks Online that I am providing to you in the kit. And I don't think it's right to gatekeep information either, which is why, good morning, Shell, my bell. Thanks so much for joining me. Good morning, Cheryl. Gen X Nan. Hi, good morning. I'm drinking my coffee. If you are a QuickBooks Online user, go ahead and tap that screen because we are working through the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit every weekday morning here on TikTok and now YouTube live stream. Because I'm fancy and we're going live in 2 places at once. I'm so proud of myself for figuring that out. So yeah, I sell the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. Thank you so much for the likes, Cheryl. I sell the kit for $77. Good morning, Lens Armored. Thanks for joining me. If you're a QuickBooks Online user, go ahead and tap that screen and let me know in the comments how long have you been using QuickBooks Online? What type of business do you own, or side hustle or side gig? I sell the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit for $77. Good morning, Almadelli, Dory, and Bruno Santana. Good morning. Tap that screen if you're a QuickBooks Online user. I sell the kit for $77, and that is the DIY digital course. That is where you are going to work through the videos yourself, the videos where I am instructing you step by step how to set up and use QuickBooks Online. Good morning, Curly Girl. Happy Monday morning. Tap that screen if you're a QuickBooks Online user. And then I also give you this workbook, but when you purchase the workbook from the digital course, you just have it sent to you as a PDF. Good morning, A. Marlene and Swift Fan. Tap that screen if you're a QuickBooks Online user. Thanks so much for joining me. I provide you with the workbook as a PDF, but I just ordered a couple of weeks ago the physical versions of the workbook, and I got them in a spiral bound copy because that is personally what I like to use. Good morning, Dawn Blair Share. Hi, welcome. Happy Monday. Tap that screen if you're a QuickBooks Online user. I ordered these workbooks to be delivered to me so that I can ship them to you all personally. Good morning, Ty Sexton. Thanks for being here with me. Tap that screen if you're a QuickBooks Online user. So the product to purchase the physical workbook is linked in my TikTok shop. You can just click on my profile. Good morning, car guy. My husband's a car guy too. And F16 Jet Jock. Good morning. Welcome. Happy Monday. We're talking about QuickBooks Online, everybody's favorite thing to hate. Good morning, Inga. Thanks for joining me. So if you're a QuickBooks Online user, go ahead and tap that screen. I'm recapping what we've gone over in the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit so far over the last week because I do go live every single morning and work through the kit with you page by page. I'm also live on YouTube, so if you see me switching between screens, just know I've got my phone here and I've got the webcam over here and I'm streaming on YouTube as well. So if you didn't know, I'm on YouTube and I have longer QuickBooks Online tutorials over there for free. Good morning, Cowtown Stallion and DG McManners. Welcome. Tap the screen if you're a QuickBooks Online user. Let me know where you're watching from and what kind of business you have, because if you found me, chances are the algorithm brought you here because you have a small business. Good morning, Veronica. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you are a QuickBooks Online user, tap the screen and let me know in the comments how long you've been using QuickBooks Online. So yes, you can purchase the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit from the TikTok shop, and it does cost a little bit more than when you purchase through my website. Good morning, Kim. Thank you so much for joining me. And that is because when you purchase through the TikTok shop, it's listed at $84.99, so they add a little bit of tax, but it is eligible for free shipping. And I will send you the spiral bound workbook, but you will also get access to the digital kit. That is my DIY course of videos and content that I wrote and filmed for you, walking you through step by step how to set up QuickBooks Online, how to use it for your small business. And yes, I am drinking black coffee, because that is how I roll. So if you're wondering, like, what is this void inside my mug? Yeah, I drink my coffee black, and I definitely need it today. For some reason, the spring forward time change still has me messed up, y'all. So we're still trying to get through our coffee. When you purchase the kit online, on TikTok Shop, on my website, and you choose the option to have the workbook sent to you, I will send you the spiral bound workbook copy, but you get immediate access to the digital workbook, which is the same exact thing. and you get access to the digital course immediately. And that includes video tutorials about setting up and using QuickBooks Online for your business. And it includes the digital workbook. But as I was saying a few minutes ago, it includes 30 days access to my private community. This is where I hang out with my people. This is where all of my clients hang out. And these are clients that have taken a training with me, people whose bookkeeping I do for them. They're in that community too. Other folks that are working through the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, my other bookkeeping mentees, because I do offer mentorship services to other bookkeepers. Good morning, 7777. Thank you so much for joining me. So that community is full of my clients, and we are hanging out. And so if you are working through the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit and you get stuck somewhere, you have a question, it's kind of like having a study hall or a classroom or office hours even that I host on Zoom twice a month in there, that you can come in and ask me questions, but also my clients are there and other people who are doing this for their own businesses, using bookkeeping for their businesses. And these are people that are not accountants and bookkeepers. So if you need to speak to another layperson, I try to make the way I talk about accounting and bookkeeping as accessible as possible. But if you're speaking to another business owner who's not an accountant and you're asking a question, like chances are they're going to answer you in a language that you can understand too, right? Which is the great thing about building community with other business owners. So you get 30 days free when you purchase the kit. You can either purchase the digital version of the kit or you can purchase the DIY course and choose the option to get the spiral bound workbook sent to you. And that comes shipped directly from me. And I do have homemade paper that I write my little love notes on to my clients to let you know how much I appreciate you. So if that is your jam and you need serious help with QuickBooks Online, I want you to go to bookkeepingfoundationkit.com and tap the link that you want to purchase, because you get the choice to purchase the DIY course plus the digital workbook, or the DIY course with the digital videos and the community access, and then I will ship you a copy of the spiral bound workbook directly to your home. So, TikTok, YouTube, if you are joining me, I'm Reagan, I'm the numbers witch, and I'm that QuickBooks bitch. And I have the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, which is my answer to folks who are not accountants, who are not bookkeepers, who seriously need help with QuickBooks Online. They've chosen QuickBooks Online, or they want to choose QuickBooks Online to use to manage their business books. Great. And you know what? QuickBooks Online is not user-friendly. That's right. And I get a lot of pushback from people on that, but only from people that don't use it. And I'm like, of all the people that I meet, every week I meet somebody new who's telling me when I log into QuickBooks Online, it's so overwhelming that I just log out immediately. That tells me that it is not user-friendly. It's visually overwhelming. It triggers a lot of people's like ADHD and neurodivergence to just log out immediately after that. Oh my gosh, it's St. Patrick's Day. I'm just now realizing that because there's a little 3 or 4 leaf clover icon on the screen. Huh. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. So I made the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit in answer to the folks that are struggling to not only understand their business finances, but having to learn a whole new software or app to do that, right? And so what my goal was with the kit was to make it more accessible, to make it less overwhelming for my small business clients who already have very busy lives, who are already working so hard and don't have time to sit down and take a college class about accounting or business administration, right? I even have people come to me who have master's degrees in business administration, literally people with finance degrees coming and booking a training or booking a consultation with me, telling me, I have a finance degree, I have an MBA, but I don't know how to do bookkeeping. I'm completely lost. Like, that is why I created the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. So thanks so much, Grits and Giggles, for joining. For Mimi, thank you so much. Tap the screen. Brittany, if you are a QuickBooks Online user, let me know down below. How long have you been in business? Good morning, Boston Reefer B. Happy St. Patty's Day. If you celebrate. Good morning, Rusty. Thanks so much for joining. If you're a QuickBooks Online user on TikTok, tap that screen and let me know. How long have you been using QuickBooks Online? Have you just started? And are you struggling? Is it overwhelming for you? Because that is what we fix. Not that anything's broken, but that's what we address with the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, okay? So last week we talked about how to use the kit. Good morning, Gisela. Thank you so much for joining. If you're a QuickBooks Online user, you're in the right place because I'm that QuickBooks bitch, right? Okay. We talked about how to use the kit. We talked about the 30-day free community access so that you have support. Good morning, Julie. Thank you for joining me. And then we went through all of part 1 of the kit last week. That's right. We talked about setting up QuickBooks Online for your business. We talked about getting your data in there, getting things imported. We talked about whether you are a project accounting person, meaning that you've got probably all of 2024 to get through with your books for your business because it's tax season, right? We now have less than a month before the tax filing deadline. So if you haven't filed an extension already, I actually recommend that you do that because there's no need, there's no pressure, there's no reason to put any pressure on yourself to get your taxes filed by April 15th, right? So go ahead and get that extension filed. And in the meantime, we can work through the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit together. Thank you so much for the follow, Julie. I really appreciate you. Also, I love that you have the trans flag in your username. That is awesome. Thank you so much for being here. We love trans folks. We believe that trans people are people and humans and deserve rights just like the rest of us. And, 100%, I'm that bitch that's gonna punch a transphobe in the face. But irrelevant. But thank you for being here. All right. So yeah, we talked about setting up QuickBooks Online, setting up your accounting system. I give you a checklist in each part of the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. Good morning, Miles G. James. Thank you so much for joining me. Tap that screen if you're a QuickBooks Online user, if you're a business owner. And then we actually went through the first half of part 2 of the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit last week, which was about connecting your bank accounts in QuickBooks Online. And by the way, TikTok users, if you missed those live streams last week, I am reposting them over on YouTube. Good morning, Vanessa Jones. Good morning, BMW. I've never had a car in my TikTok live before. But I am reposting these live streams on YouTube from last week. And I'm streaming live on YouTube right now. That way I won't have to worry about reposting it. But it will be on YouTube. So, and this allows me to get some content done. Bing, bang, boom. 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay? So I give you the checklists in each part. Good morning, Opulence. And Miles is back. Thank you so much for joining me. Oh, Karen LeBeau's online. Hey. We talked about getting your bank transactions into QuickBooks, getting your bank accounts connected, because that's something that a lot of people get tripped up on. And QuickBooks Online is connecting your bank accounts, connecting your credit cards, knowing which accounts you actually want to connect. We talk about that in part 1 because as I was saying before, if you have 2024 bookkeeping to do before tax filing deadline, April 15th, my recommendation actually is to go ahead and file. La hell yeah. Thank you so much for joining. I love that. I love your username. I recommend to just go ahead and file, request an extension for time to file your tax return if you've not yet dove in and started with the bookkeeping for 2024. Okay. So getting your bank transactions, figuring out which accounts you need to connect in QuickBooks Online, right? We go over that in part 1, but part 2 is like get it connected. And then we talk about reconciling your bank accounts because reconciliation, okay, balancing your books is an important step in bookkeeping. It is a requirement if you're going to say that you did your bookkeeping, in fact. If you don't reconcile your bank accounts and your credit cards, you're not doing your bookkeeping. Sorry to say. Good morning, Sophia. Thank you so much for joining me. Tap that screen if you're a QuickBooks Online user. We're talking about the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit today. And this is a prime time of year to talk about Bookkeeping Foundation Kit because so many people procrastinate. Why? QuickBooks Online is not user-friendly. QuickBooks Online is not built for the layperson. It is built for accountants. Thanks so much, La hell yeah. That's how I'm going to say your username. But thank you for tapping that screen and sending in those likes. Good morning, Swifty13. All right, y'all. Oh my gosh, a Rose, thank you so much. Hi, Harry Pratt. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining me. We're talking about the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit today. We're talking about QuickBooks Online. And the folks that procrastinate on their bookkeeping, it's because they're overwhelmed with QuickBooks Online. So I created the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit in response to that, okay, to help out my people that struggle and procrastinate and are overwhelmed by all of this, okay, because this is really my step-by-step guide to help you work through your bookkeeping. And this is not just for people who have procrastinated on their books. This is for you wanting to create a better routine and wanting to keep up with your books on a more consistent basis. I tackle both of those problems in this kit, okay? So if you've been procrastinating and you're like, 2024 needs to be done and quickly because it is less than a month away from the tax filing deadline for my folks in the U.S. Good morning, Joyce in Bloom. So nice to have you here, and I love your username. We have less than a month to go before tax filing deadline. Good morning, Elle. Thank you so much for joining me. Tap the screen if you're a QuickBooks Online user. We're talking about the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit today. So no more overwhelm, no more procrastination. We are going to get those books in order. But if you have all of 2024 to do in QuickBooks Online, I'm going to just go ahead and say that maybe go ahead and file a request of an extension for time to file, okay, for your tax return. Because I am not going to be the one to put any sort of pressure on you to learn how to use QuickBooks, to get it all set up, and then to do 2024's bookkeeping in less than a month. Not when the weather is this nice, okay? Because I know how y'all be. When it's springtime, it's about to be 80 degrees in Louisiana today. I'm going to be playing in my garden. I got some transplants I'm going to do. The last thing anybody wants to be doing right now is sitting inside and fucking around with QuickBooks Online, something that they already hate and have been avoiding, okay? So we're not going to do that. Go ahead and file an extension for your tax return. And in the meantime, get the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, because we're going to address the project bookkeeping. We're going to address going back and making sure that your 2024 books are done so that you can file your tax return. But we're not going to try to get it done in a month, okay? Now, that being said, you do get a 30-day free trial of my private community that is normally a $7 a month paid plan. You get a free trial of the community for 30 days when you purchase the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. And that is where I host virtual office hours on Zoom. It's just like taking a college course, y'all. You have your fellow students in the class, and you've got access to me as the professor, the person who wrote the kit and filmed the videos and walks you through step-by-step setting things up. Okay? Oop, TikTok. They keep warning me that I've got, I have like my 10-minute reminder set so that like I'm not just sitting here scrolling all the time. So that's why I keep like tapping my screen. So if you got a project accounting to do, go ahead and file an extension for 2024 and then get the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. You can go to bookkeepingfoundationkit.com. If you're on TikTok, you can click on my profile. And the kit workbook, which I will send to you, it's spiral bound. It's beautiful. They're being shipped to my house later today, and I'm so excited. I will do an unboxing video with you all to show you what they look like. But when you purchase the kit through my TikTok shop, you get access to the digital course immediately, okay? And then I ship you the workbook. But you get the workbook as a PDF immediately. But I know folks like a spiral bound workbook. They like to be able to write things down. And inside the kit workbook, I do have like charts for you to fill out. I have questions that you need to write down your answers to so that when you're setting up your QuickBooks, you have all the answers in one place. Good morning, Sylvia. Good morning, Elisa. And Jack, thanks so much for joining me. Tap that screen if you're a QuickBooks Online user. So last week we covered how to use the kit, part 1 of the kit, which is the setup. And then we covered most of part 2, which is about connecting your bank accounts in QuickBooks Online, getting those transactions imported, and reconciling your accounts, okay? But now I want to talk about rules and bank rules and setting those up, and then we're going to talk about recurring transactions, okay? Excuse me. So I'm just pulling up my workbook on my screen here. And this is the exact copy that you get whenever you purchase it through my website, bookkeepingfoundationkit.com, or when you purchase it through TikTok here and I ship you your workbook. This is the exact one that you get that I'm reading off today. And so we talk about bank rules in QuickBooks Online, setting up some automations. This is like telling, and it's like a little bit of computer coding sort of thinking. So if you are a coder or you have any experience with like coding websites, where my MySpace babies at when we were like putting the glitter and the songs on our MySpace pages, and that's how we learned how to do HTML back in the day, was on MySpace. We're going to do a little bit of that. It's just like coding, because we're going to tell QuickBooks, look for certain criteria in our transactions. And when you find that criteria, here's what you're going to do. So if you know anything about computer coding, it's like if-then statements or if-else. Okay? So if QuickBooks finds a transaction that meets the criteria that you set, it's going to automatically do the thing that you ask it to do. Good morning, roly-poly, lowly, or lolly. Good morning. Tap the screen if you're a QuickBooks Online user. We're talking about bank rules in QuickBooks Online, which is one of my favorite ways to automate your data entry. Automation is key to reducing overwhelm, to saving you time and money, right? So I focus a lot inside the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit on setting up these automations and making this app work for you. And it might sound like a lot of work up front, but usually it goes quicker than you think, because I give you the tips and the tricks that I know from like 10 plus years of small business bookkeeping, of using QuickBooks Online. I'm giving you those tips to automate things so that it goes quickly. And once you start automating things and using the bank rules and using recurring transactions, you start to get a little bit of momentum and it picks up speed. So a project such as the 2024 bookkeeping for your small business might take longer. Well, you think it's going to take longer, except whenever you are using bank rules and these other automation tips that I give you inside the kit, it goes much faster. You pick up momentum and speed like that, okay? So in part 2 of the kit, the last section is where we talk about these automations. We talk about when is it better to set up a rule in QuickBooks Online for your bank transactions versus setting up a recurring transaction or a template, okay? Like a template for a transaction. So let's talk about the difference between these two things. The bank rule is the automation that I was just telling you before, where you're telling QuickBooks, hey, look for this criteria, and when you find it, do this. That's what a bank rule does. You're giving QuickBooks the rules by which to play. You're giving them the rules on how to treat different transactions and different data in your QuickBooks. Okay, good morning, Cynthia. Good morning, Jen. Thank you so much for being here. Tap the screen. If you're a QuickBooks Online user, we're talking about bank rules today. We're talking about my tricks and my little tips and my little hacks that I give y'all, because I've been doing this for a long time and there's certain ways that you have to do things, okay? Which is very rude of QuickBooks, to be honest. Good morning, Betsy. Thank you for joining me. And I have a YouTube video on setting up bank rules that is really good, and it's like less than 5 minutes long. And I show you my tricks to using bank rules and the special trick that I have about using the bank text and not the description when you're setting up a bank rule. I don't know why it works that way, but that's just what I found, is changing the criteria for the rule from description, and it looks at the description, to the bank text. Don't know why it works, but it does. It works every time. Got 'em. So that video is in my QuickBooks Online tutorial playlist on YouTube. I am live here on TikTok. I'm also live streaming on YouTube, so make sure you go follow me on YouTube or subscribe, whatever it's called. And I have more in-depth tutorials where I'm walking you through the step-by-step processes in QuickBooks. okay, just like I do inside the kit. But the kit goes much deeper, much further. There are longer videos. There's the workbook that you fill out. It is way more in depth of a class. So, good morning, Christopher. Thank you for joining me, Christopher Brand. So setting up a rule in QuickBooks Online is telling QuickBooks, here's the criteria that I want you to look for in my transactions. And when you find a transaction that meets that criteria, do this, okay? So that is useful whenever you have a certain vendor or a certain store that you go to and always spend money the same way with that vendor, but it's not necessarily the same amount, okay? Usually it's about the amount and the date when we are using a recurring transaction. A recurring transaction template is the opposite automation to a bank rule. The bank rule is telling QuickBooks, I don't want you to do anything until you find a transaction that meets a certain criteria. And the recurring transaction template is telling QuickBooks, make the transaction first. Do this for me on this date. Do this transaction, create this transaction on this date. That's the difference between QuickBooks Online bank rules and the recurring transaction templates, okay? One, the bank rules is telling QuickBooks, once the transactions are in, look through the transactions, look for my criteria, and then do this. Whereas the recurring template is giving QuickBooks the direction to create the template, to create the transaction for you first. Don't wait until it comes through in the bank feed. If I give you a recurring transaction template, you make it. You make the transaction. You create the transaction for me. So the difference that we want to pay attention to is if there is a bank rule set up, we are using that because that vendor is not always having money spent the same amount or on the same day. So this is a great example. This is what I always give for folks who are setting up bank rules. Think about if you are a business owner that goes to Walmart and you go to Walmart only for office supplies. You're buying like water bottles for the break room and coffee creamer and paper and pencils and notebooks. Those are all office supplies categories, right? If I saw somebody going to Walmart all the time, I would probably assume that they were going there for office supplies unless they told me differently. So if you're a business owner that shops at Walmart only for office supplies, and we're talking about business expenses, right? We're not talking about personal expenses. If every time you go to Walmart, it's office supplies, we're going to set up a bank rule to tell QuickBooks every time you see Walmart, categorize it as office supplies. Why do we not use a recurring transaction in that instance? Anybody want to drop into the chat? Let me know. Didn't know there was going to be a pop quiz, right? Just kidding. Why do we not use a recurring transaction? Because every time you go to Walmart, you seem to spend a different amount of money. You don't necessarily go to Walmart on the same day of the week or the same day of the month, right? So we use a bank rule because the transaction is going to be a little bit different every time. There's going to be a different date. There's going to be a different amount when we go to Walmart because we're having to buy different supplies and they all cost different things every time, right? That's when we use a bank rule because we just need to tell QuickBooks, anytime you see Walmart, office supplies category. That's it. We're not using a recurring transaction because we don't know how much we're spending at Walmart every time we go, right? So that is the difference. Now, let's give an example for the recurring transaction and when we would use that instead. Because there are expenses that you have on a regular, consistent basis that are probably the same amount every time. So for instance, my internet here in my home, that I have to have for my business anyways, is $99 a month. Same amount every time. Comes out on the same day every month because I enrolled in AutoPay to pay for my internet. So we have $99 a month. It's usually on like the last day of the month. They have the AutoPay set up. So instead of using a bank rule, which I could totally use a bank rule, but I set up a recurring transaction for my internet fees because it is the same amount every time. It comes out on the same day of the month. So I tell QuickBooks, hey, on the last day of the month, go ahead and create a transaction in my checking account, in my books, and say I'm going to spend $99 at the end of every month to pay for my internet service. That is when I use a recurring transaction versus the example I gave you for Walmart, which is where we're going maybe every 2 weeks, maybe just once a month, maybe every other month, you know? Maybe there's a week that like you have to keep going back to Walmart because you forgot one thing. So Walmart is infrequent or it's inconsistent how many times you go or when you go. And it's also inconsistent in how much you spend. You spend a different amount every time. So we wouldn't set up a recurring template transaction for Walmart, but we can do that for the internet service fees because that comes out every month on the same day and it's the same amount every time unless it changes. But for the most part, it's the same amount every month, right? So we set up a recurring transaction. Any sort of regular app software fees, subscriptions, you know, your Netflix subscription is not a business expense, but that's another example where we would set up a recurring template. It's the same amount, it's on auto pays, coming out same time every month, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So that is the difference between using a bank rule to automate your data entry and a recurring transaction template to automate data entry. Both of these are ways that we automate your QuickBooks Online. And I show you inside the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit how to set up both, when to set up both. And I give you examples. We go over my tips and tricks on how to set both of these up. So the kit is at bookkeepingfoundationkit.com. Okay, and this is just part 2, by the way. We went over how to use the kit last week. We went all the way through part 1 last week on live. And if you missed those, go click on my profile, TikTok watchers, and click on my link in my bio. And I have a link to my YouTube. And subscribe over there. Subscribe on YouTube because I am posting the replays from last week on YouTube. And I'm also streaming live on YouTube right now. So I can do both and have the recording for the folks that maybe joined late or had to leave in the middle of the live, and that way you can get the full experience, okay? So, Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, Part 2 finishes up with rules and recurring transaction templates and when to use both. So it comes down to the price of a transaction or the amount and then the date. If a monthly subscription expense is the same every month, such as for software, right? If we talk about like Canva fees come out the same time every month and they're the same amount unless they change the price. A recurring transaction automation is going to serve you better because you set it once and don't worry about it. The bank rules are a little bit different and they do automate, but you do need to verify bank rules. So when you're going through your transactions in your bank feed in QuickBooks Online, you want to make sure that the rules are applied correctly. I never recommend folks to auto add rules. Turn that off. Do not allow QuickBooks Online to automatically add transactions from your bank rules. Always turn the auto add off. If you have bank rules set up in QuickBooks Online and you know they're automatically adding, log in right now and select all those bank rules and turn off auto add. Okay, I'm so serious because this is how people's books get completely messed up. And I'm the one that has to go in and clean it all up. You know the first thing that I do when I'm cleaning up books? Go to the bank rules, select all, turn off auto add. This is the only thing that I get spicy about in QuickBooks Online. That's a lie. I get spicy about a lot of things. But this is the spiciest I get in QuickBooks Online. Do not allow QuickBooks Online to automatically add transactions using a bank rule. You can use a recurring template. I'm fine with that. But don't let them automatically add things from your bank rules. Okay, that's the first thing I check. That's the first thing I turn off. Because I know y'all have just been willy-nilly setting up these rules and not actually doing them to make sure that they're classifying transactions correctly. And that's okay. I'm here to help. But turn them off right now. Okay? Or else. Just kidding. So inside the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit, I'm giving you my tips and tricks on how to do bank rolls and recurring transactions, but I want to teach you. Thank you so much for the follow, Erica. Thanks for being here and for liking the live. Excellent. I'm giving you the tools, the tips, the tricks, the hacks, but I am empowering you to use your best judgment when it comes to QuickBooks Online, rules, categorizing your transactions, and I leave it up to the business owner on how to categorize things because you're the one spending the money. I know that you know what you're spending money on. So I defer to the business owner when I'm working with someone in a training or something. And I want you to use your best judgment. Set up the rules, set up recurring transactions using my tips and hacks and the resources that I give you inside the kit. But, trust yourself. I want you to feel empowered that if you, make an educated guess on something, that it's probably right. It is you at the end of the day who's spending the money, who's making the money, who's running the business. And just because you feel lost and out of control about your finances right now does not mean that you still aren't the best person to go to whenever we have questions about what happened with these transactions. That's still you, okay? So feeling overwhelmed, thank you so much. You came across while trying to learn bookkeeping for your small biz. Perfect. I'm so glad you're here. You are in the exact right place that you're supposed to be. So thank you for joining me. I'm going live every weekday morning, but I am going on a quilting retreat this weekend. So Wednesday through Friday, I might be doing some lives on TikTok, but I'll be quilting. We won't be talking about the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. But every other morning during the week, I will be going live on TikTok. I'm streaming simultaneously on YouTube. So if you missed the stream, go follow me on YouTube. Go subscribe. And the streams from last week are also going to be posted as well. Okay, so we're working through the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit page by page. Today we were working on part 2. And I'm just letting you know all of this because you just hopped in here and I'm so glad you found me. And I want to make sure that you have the resources you need to learn how to do books. Okay? I've been doing bookkeeping for over 10 years. And it is literally my mission and my calling in life. Oh, I got to 100 likes. Thank you. That's so exciting. Thank you. Yes, go subscribe on the YouTube. Visit bookkeepingfoundationkit.com. That is where I have the kit linked for you to purchase. Good morning, Kaylee. Thank you so much for the likes. Oh, I'm over 100 likes. Let's see if we can get to 200, y'all. We're almost there. Keep going. Almost there. Almost there. Keep going. Ooh! 200! Oh! We got it. We did it. Thank y'all. We did it. We made it to 200 likes. Woo. Okay, so yes. I just got distracted by that for a second. Thank you for indulging me. Yes, I teach bookkeeping. I teach specifically QuickBooks Online because Intuit and QuickBooks have monopolized the market in terms of accounting software and whatever. Okay, I like QuickBooks Online for my business. That's what I use. Thank you, Sylvia, too. Sending the likes. Love it. I use QuickBooks Online for my business, and people that come to me use QuickBooks Online. I don't tell anybody what they should use. I can make recommendations and say, well, here's what I like about this, or here's what I like about that, or this might serve you better. But it's totally up to you what you want to use. It's just that people find me because I'm always talking about QuickBooks. It's just that, that's how the algorithm works. People know I use QuickBooks. I'm also a QuickBooks Online Advanced Pro Advisor, which means that I've taken their higher level certifications for QuickBooks Online Advanced. So yeah, the people that find me are the QuickBooks Online users, and it is literally most of what I do is teach QuickBooks Online. I do bookkeeping for businesses as well, but I'm really trying to help folks learn how to use QuickBooks Online, learn how to do their bookkeeping. I try to make it as simple as possible because there's no point in this being complicated and overwhelming. Is QuickBooks easy to navigate for ranchers? I am terrified. Well, first of all, there's nothing to be afraid of. And this is what I tell folks in the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit at the very end of part 1. I tell you, there's nothing that you can do in QuickBooks Online that is going to completely mess up anything. There's nothing that you can do in QuickBooks Online that we can't fix. So, ranchers, I've not worked with anybody that had a farm that was using QuickBooks Online, and I think that's what you mean, or you can tell me if you mean something else. But if you have like a separate account set up for your farm, for your business, if you're producing like livestock and stuff, or if you have, which that's what it sounds like if you're doing ranching. But anyways, I don't know about specifically for ranchers. My job and what I try to do is to make it as simple a process and to translate what you do in your business every day or on your ranch to QuickBooks. We translate how you talk about your business, how you make money, how you spend money. You sell cattle commercially and have an LLC. Perfect. Yeah, so, I mean, every business has revenue, expenses. We might have loans, we might have other liabilities, equity, all those things. But for the most part, we need to just track how you make money and how you spend money. And that's it, right? So QuickBooks Online is not easy to navigate. I don't think it's user-friendly for people, unfortunately. And when I say that, people get really mad at me. And I'm like, but it's not. I meet with people every week that struggle and are overwhelmed and avoid it and procrastinate on it. So don't sit here and tell me that it's user-friendly whenever so many people find me and are looking for help. Like, that's just wild. I'm looking to start a bookkeeping biz on the side in QuickBooks. What advice do you have for a new biz? I'm currently an HR manager, but would like to eventually get out of HR. Perfect. You're in the exact right place, because not only am I serving my small business clients that are not bookkeepers, but I want to be in community with other bookkeepers. I want you to be a part of my community. So go ahead and hit the follow button. Click on my bio. I have a link in my bio. And there is a freelance bookkeepers tab. So that is an interest list. I do offer mentorship. It is not enrolling right now, but you can get on the interest list for free, and I'll reach out to you and we can talk. We can set up a free call and just kind of get to know each other. So for tips or advice for a new business for bookkeeping, raise your prices. No, just kidding. I will tell you to raise your prices, but yeah. So for bookkeeping businesses, it's all about setting boundaries, believe it or not. It is about having good personal boundaries, good business boundaries, knowing what type of client you like to work with, or what type of client you don't want to work with, understanding down to the very detail what you do for people, and building a business and building your services and your offers around what you actually want to be doing. So I have a mentor or a mentee, because I'm mentoring her. So I call y'all my mentees. I'm working with her right now, and like, she does not want to do, well, I don't know about what she doesn't want to do, but she wants to do like accounts receivable, accounts payable, and like collections, and provide that as like a bookkeeping service to other businesses. So we're working on building those offers around that specific thing, because the more you can speak to people about exactly where they're at, and you can get very specific about what they're experiencing right now. Like on this live, I'm talking about setting up QuickBooks. I'm talking to the people who are here right now that avoid or procrastinate on QuickBooks Online. We have Erica in the comments right now saying that she's good with technology, but it's the number side of things. You know, this scares her. And so talking to folks about what they're afraid of, what they're procrastinating on, what's holding them back, and giving them, you know, a more accessible way to do things. Or, you know, my role is like the teaching part of it. I do bookkeeping for folks, but I really like the teaching part. I really want to help folks be able to do this work themselves. And I think that I do a good job of like explaining it step by step and making it relatable and all that. So, you know, that's kind of like, I don't want to say niche, but like, That is just the specific thing that I do. So the more you can get specific about what types of services you want to offer, who you want to work with, we can really build a sustainable bookkeeping business around that, which means that you will actually enjoy the work that you do. It will be something that you can do for longer. You won't get burnt out or overwhelmed working with people or doing work that you actually don't want to be doing. Like, that would be my best advice or tip. Get really comfortable with selling, but also get really specific with your offer. So Erica, you said the number side of things scares you. Are you afraid about like doing the math wrong or something? Or like what is that about? What exactly are we afraid of happening? Or how can I help you with that? And if you've been in HR, Kim Marie, I'm not sure if that's one name or if that's two names. But if you've been working in HR, you probably know a lot about payroll and stuff. So you probably could offer payroll services. Like I do payroll for some of my clients, but I don't do payroll like offhand. I do it for the people that I'm doing books for. I just process their payroll because we all want it to be in the same place, right? That's just like that's like the sub services that I can do for, yeah. Erica says, I basically just want to make sure I'm organized for the CPA, if that makes sense. It totally makes sense because everybody is like worried that they're going to take their shit to their CPA for their taxes and there's going to be like a fight or something, or like, you didn't do this right. Like, okay, first of all, maybe find a different CPA if they're like getting on to you about stuff. But yeah, it's like, it makes sense to want to have things organized so that when you go to the tax preparer and get your tax return done, that you have like, that they don't have like a lot of questions or there's not a lot of missing information. So yeah, like my method for doing bookkeeping is making sure we have all the data, making sure that it's correct, which is the reconciling part, and then looking at your reports, learning how to understand and read your financial reports, like your profit and loss and your balance sheet, and seeing like where there might be mistakes, seeing how your business is doing. So Kim said I just do payroll in ADP, but I have a little QuickBooks experience. Yeah, so ADP is a great platform for payroll because they do like all the taxes and all the filings and all that stuff. QuickBooks Online Payroll does have automated payroll and automated taxes, but here's the thing that I don't do anymore. I don't recommend QuickBooks Online Payroll for anybody because I got beef with them, okay? Oh, we got the 300 likes. Thank you so much. Woohoo! We're on a roll today. Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with ADP. I have currently one client that uses it, and I found it simple to like connect ADP to QuickBooks Online so that the payroll information gets imported. I don't like QuickBooks Online Payroll. Sorry to say. You can use QuickBooks for your bookkeeping. I really like Gusto. I have a lot of experience with Gusto. I like them. I've had a lot of clients that use them over the years. They like it. And it's very comparable in price to QuickBooks Online. And it imports nicely to QuickBooks Online too. What's the difference between payroll and contract laborers? Great question. A frequently asked question, because it's so important to make sure that when you have people working for you, you categorize them correctly as employees or as independent contractors. And there is actually a set of questions and criteria that you have to ask about the person that's working for you. So number one is the level of financial control. Can that person set their hourly rate? Can that person negotiate the contract for the work that they're doing and how much they're getting paid? Can that person go and make money doing the same thing for you for somebody else? Can they have multiple clients or multiple people that they're doing that work for? Or do you say, you're working like 9 to 5, like you're not going to go like work at this other place at the same time, right? I'm an independent contractor, meaning that I can have as many clients as I want. I can work with them on whatever kind of work I want to do for them. They don't control how much they pay me. We negotiate a rate of pay, right? Like I have my prices. I'm happy to negotiate, make things accessible for people, come up with financial payment plans. Good morning, Johnny B. Thank you for joining me. I just want to make sure I'm not missing. So yeah, that would be an independent contractor, is someone that can go out and get other clients doing the same type of services or work, versus an employee who like just works for you, like that's your employee. They're not like going out and doing the same kind of work and getting their own jobs and negotiating their rate of pay. So there's a level of financial control that you have to consider. There is the behavior control, which is like I was saying, we're almost at 400 likes. So if you're watching and you're a QuickBooks Online user, go ahead and tap that screen and let's see if we can get to 400 likes real quick, because that would be excellent. Monday morning live. Perfect. We're having an awesome time. Thank you so much, Kaylee. We hit it immediately. Love that. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Sylvia, for the likes. So there's the behavioral control, which is where you say to your employee, hey, you got to be at work at this time. Hey, when you're working on the job and you're doing the work for me, you have to do it this way. You have to consider what level of control do you have over somebody's behavior. If it's an independent contractor, so for instance, if you hire me to do your books, like I decide how I get the work done, when I get the work done. I set my own hours and schedule. I negotiate with you, like if I'm working on a project, I'm like, hey, this is how I do it. This is how long it's going to take me. I can estimate it'll be done by this time. So the behavior control part is something that you have to think about with independent contractors versus employees. So an employee, you have a certain level of control over like the expectation of how the work gets done when they do the work. A big thing is wearing some sort of clothing with your logo on it. Okay, so if you have employees that let's say you have a retail store, excuse me, and you tell the employees that work in your retail store, hey, this is like the uniform or the dress code, okay? Maybe you have to wear something that's branded, has your logo on the shirt, or maybe there's like a certain color scheme that you want them to wear, or they have to wear long sleeves for some reason. Like the behavior control is whether or not you can control an employee's behavior versus an independent contractor's behavior. And then the last part of the employee versus independent contractor is the relationship. And that is about whether you like are both writing up a contract, if you're negotiating a contract, if the employee or the independent contractor, like what level of control do you have to sever the relationship or to end the working relationship, and how you go about doing that, right? So those are the three things that you have to think about when you're trying to classify somebody as an employee or as an independent contractors. Employees need to be on payroll. They need to have paychecks with taxes withheld. You have to pay unemployment insurance on them. In most states, you have to have workers' comp for all your employees, versus an independent contractor, somebody that you pay them, but you don't withhold taxes. They're probably invoicing you, and you are paying an invoice or a bill from them. So there's financial, relationship, and behavioral, what that person is doing. So let me know, Sylvia, if that answers your question. I know that was kind of a long answer, but there is a lot that goes into it. As far as niches, what are some niches that do well? I do really well this time of year. I'll talk about like February through April. You're so welcome. Thank you. February through April is when I get a lot of cleanup jobs. I've got a lot of people that come to me who have been procrastinating. And if that's you in live, like I'm not shitting on you, okay? I understand why you procrastinate. I understand why it's overwhelming. But people find me this time of year because they're like, oh, I got to get my taxes done. Let me just go ahead and hire somebody to like get my 2024 books ready to go for taxes. So I find that during this time period of the year, that does well. I don't hear from a lot of people about cleanup jobs in like October or November or December, right? So it depends on the type of year for me, because what I do as far as work directly impacts folks' taxes. I think that I don't know that I can really say like industry-wide what type of different niches perform better than others, because I think it's like there's such a broad scope or a broad range of services that you can provide when you're doing bookkeeping. And each individual client has a different idea about what kind of help they need. So folks will come and be like, oh, hang on just a second. I gotta drag the puzzle piece. Okay, sorry about that. They just want to make sure that I'm still here. Obviously, TikTok. I'm still here. People have all sorts of ideas about what kind of like services they need. And so do you recommend having a website? That seems like the most daunting task for me. Listen, if I had a nickel for every time I talked to another bookkeeper and they were worried about their website and they have no clients, I would be a millionaire. Just kidding. I'd have 2 nickels. But anyways, I think that your energy is better put towards defining what you want to do in terms of services, what your offers are going to be, and then selling. And selling is the thing that gets people like, I don't want to do that, right? Having a website is not selling, unfortunately. Having a website is not just going to bring people in. You have to have a conversation with people. You have to ask for business. Like literally say, I do, let's say, collections. I do collections for legal firms, something, I don't know. But talk about the specific thing that you do, the specific offer. Talk to the person who would be a client of that offer, and then ask them, is that something you're interested in? Do you want to talk about what that might look like for your business? Do you need help with collections? I offer collections for legal firms, lawyers' offices. So giving them specifics about what it is that you do and then asking them for business, that is what I recommend that you practice, that you get really good at doing, that you get used to doing, so that it's almost like second nature. Okay. So yeah, I mean, totally have a website. Like it's good to have a presence online. It's good to have a place for people to go independently whenever they're interested in learning more about your business. Sure. But it does not need to be more than just like a landing page with like the button to click to buy something from you, or the button to click to contact you and to get in touch with you and have a conversation. You have to make it really easy for people to do that. And that is something that I've even seen like web designers talk about. I have a mutual on here that does web design, and she talks about making it so that there's less friction between somebody finding you and someone paying you. Okay. So I thought to start out Instagram or Facebook may be best until I have more bits. Yeah. And this is the advice that I was given from several like business sales people, social media people. Whatever platform you're on the most and that you engage with the most is a great place to start, because you're already there. You already know how to use the platform. You might have already contacts on there. And so starting there. So if you're on Instagram a lot and scrolling a lot, I would set up a profile or use your current profile and, go in my stories and just talk about what it is that I do to help people, or what it is that you want to do. So if you have current clients, keep things confidential, make sure that we're not sharing like information that's private. But you'll hear me talking about my experiences with my clients, with the projects that I'm working on right now. And not just because it's like good content, but it's just like helping people get to know me and how I talk about my business, how I talk about my clients, what I do. It's just a good way to develop that know, like, and trust factor, which you might have heard before. But people that are just joining my live right now, Reagan's here. Cool, I know who she is. You move to the like factor, where something that I'm talking about or the way that I speak about something resonates with them, and then they're like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. Like, I like hanging out here, like hearing what she has to say. And then getting to that trust point, which is where they say, you know what, actually I do need help with this, or I am having this problem, and she's talking about how she helps people with that problem. She seems like a trustworthy person, and that's when they get to the point where they're ready to purchase and engage in services with you. So the website, the social media handles, all add up towards that, but being able to develop that know, like, and trust, being able to develop those relationships with people that feels very one-sided, because I'm live here, I can only see my face. You know, I see you guys leaving comments, I see you liking the live, and I really appreciate that, but you have to get used to it being a little one-sided and a little parasocial in the beginning, because until someone is ready to meet you and to talk to you personally, it's just talking to a screen, right? So you have to get used to that a little bit, but that's like wherever you feel safe or comfortable or more experienced in terms of platforms is where I would start. So like if you're on Instagram a lot, making a video or a reel just talking about who you are and what you do. If you watch a lot of reels, if you tend to sit and watch people's stories on Instagram and just kind of swipe through stories, maybe go into your stories and make some video content talking about who you are and what you do. Engaging with other people is really important for like the algorithm and all that. Oh, I just noticed we hit over 100 or 500 likes, so thank you so much. I keep like looking up and I'm like, oh, nice. We hit a milestone. I think this is like the most likes I've had on a live in a while, so turns out Monday morning is a good time to come and chat with y'all. And that's another good example for you, Kim, because like I'm doing lives every morning, but you know, Monday morning it turns out to be like a good time, and we just passed 600 likes. Doing something consistently for long enough will generate enough data for you to know like this is working. Like people are interested in being here. People are interested in either be talking through the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit or just being able to ask questions live, all of that. So the more you can do something and not just do something once and then decide it didn't work, like you have to be willing to put like several weeks, if not months, into something to see if it works, to see what kind of response you get. So I hope that was a lot of information. That was a lot of tips. But this is what I do, right? I just get on here and talk. So, all right, Kim, thank you so much. Click on my profile, click on that freelance bookkeepers link in my link tree, and I can reach out to you and we can set up a call because I'd love to talk one-on-one. But thank you so much for being here. And enjoy the rest of your work day and your work week. Hi, Stacy and Daisy Dead PETA. Why did I like just reach for my mouse when I need to like scroll on here? Just want to make sure that I didn't miss any comments. Okay. So, oops, sorry. Okay, I'm good. Yeah, so we finished talking about the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit Part 2 today, which was about setting up bank rules and recurring transactions, when to use one or the other, and like when it's appropriate, when it's the best practice to use one or the other. So I hope that was helpful. Let's quickly go over the checklist for the end of Part 2, so that everybody who's following along in their own workbook knows where we're at. Okay, so checklist for the end of Part 2. There's 3 parts of the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. So tomorrow we will start on Part 3. But let's go over this checklist real quick. We have connected your bank and credit card accounts in QuickBooks Online. We talk about that a little bit in Part 1, but you need to get your bank and credit card accounts connected in QuickBooks Online. If you don't know which accounts you should be connecting, and I'm like leaning over here because the sun is just like gracing me with its glorious presence today. If you don't know which accounts to get connected, go back to Part 1. Go rewatch the live stream of Part 1 that I did last week. It will be on my YouTube channel. All Ease Accounting is my YouTube handle, but you can just click on my profile and click on the link. And it has a little YouTube button, and it'll send you right there to subscribe. If you don't know which bank and credit card accounts to get connected in QuickBooks Online, we go over that in Part 1 of the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. Check that off when you're done. Next thing is to accept all of the transactions for all accounts in QuickBooks Online. So all those bank and credit card accounts that you just connected, we need to accept all the transactions in there. So check that off once you're done. Number 3 is to reconcile at least 1 month of transactions for one account. And notice how I said 1 month. Good morning, Jennifer Wallace. Thank you for joining me. We're talking about QuickBooks Online today. And we are wrapping up Part 2 of the kit, y'all. I went over Part 1 last week. We're finishing up Part 2 today. Tomorrow we will get started with Part 3. So the checklist for part 2, number 3, is to reconcile at least 1 month of transaction. And again, we're talking about 1 month because I'm trying to get y'all some quick wins. I'm trying to get you a little dopamine hit. You're very welcome for that, by the way. I want you to just reconcile 1 month. Okay? And remember, when we're reconciling our accounts, good morning, Mayela Torres. Thank you so much for being here. When we're reconciling, we go 1 month at a time and we go in chronological order, right? So if you're working on 2024's books, you're going to reconcile January of 2024. And that's it. Once you've done that 1 month for the one account, check it off. That's number 3. Number 4 is we talked about setting up recurring transactions in QuickBooks Online. We talked about setting up bank rules. We talked about when to do both, like when it's appropriate to do one or the other, the differences between them, when it's a good time to set up a recurring transaction versus when it's a good time to set up a bank rule. So checklist numbers 4 and 5 are to set up a recurring transaction and to set up a bank rule, okay? So those are your 5 checklist items for part 2 of the kit. We can recap those one more time for y'all. Connected your bank and credit card accounts. You accepted the transactions in those accounts. You reconciled at least 1 month, but you only have to do 1 month to finish part 2 because once you reconcile 1 month, you'll be good to go. Okay? I promise. We set up a recurring transaction and we set up bank rules for a couple of our transactions in our bank feed. And that's it. Checklist done for part 2 of the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. So, any questions about any of the information we've talked about today? Random questions about QuickBooks Online that I could possibly address in a future live? Let me know. I need some more coffee. Just as a reminder, I will be going live every weekday morning. Tomorrow morning, 8-ish a.m. start time. My sleep schedule's been whack lately, so I'm trying to get here as early as possible, but y'all also don't need to see me in my beautiful, not well-rested glory first thing in the morning. We are working through the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit page by page. So you can purchase the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit from bookkeepingfoundationkit.com. Just click on my profile, click on the link under my picture. My link in bio will take you to my website. You can also purchase the physical workbook for the kit through my TikTok shop. That purchase gets you not only the spiral bound workbook, but it gets you immediate access to the DIY course. So the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit is made up of a series of videos, tutorials, step-by-step setup and using QuickBooks Online. Filmed by me, not written by AI. I want to make that very clear because I know a lot of folks do that right now. They, write something, but it was written by ChatGPT. No, we don't do that. Not around here, partner. I have been using QuickBooks Online for over 10 years. I've been doing business bookkeeping for small businesses for over 10 years. So this course is something that I wrote and created for you all based on that level of experience using this and working with people who are not accountants. Okay, so if you're not an accountant, you're not a bookkeeper, you're in the exact right place because I'm going to teach you how to use QuickBooks Online and how to keep up with it, which is what part 3 of the kit works through. So part 3 is called A System for Your Continued Success. And I'll just read to you the first part of this. Good morning, Gigi. Thank you for joining. Learning a new skill is all fine and dandy, but what do you do to apply your new skill set? This work is not important if you don't have a plan to continue doing it. So part 3 is all about the system for your bookkeeping. I get that question a lot. It's like, what do I need to be doing and how often and when? Okay, so that's what we're going to address in part 3. I will be going live tomorrow morning. If you want to follow along with me on these lives, which after you get done with part 3, we're just going to start back over at part 1. Okay, we're going to go page by page until I get everybody on TikTok. Just kidding. We're going to go page by page. So if you want to follow along with the workbook, purchase it from bookkeepingfoundationkit.com. Or just click over to my profile, click on my TikTok shop showcase, and the kit is linked there. When you purchase from TikTok, you pay a little bit extra, but it is free shipping, and I will ship you a spiral bound copy of the workbook, and you will get immediate access as soon as you purchase to the DIY course. Those are video tutorials step by step where I'm showing you inside QuickBooks Online where to go, what to click, how to set things up, how to make it less overwhelming for you so that you stop procrastinating. If you've been avoiding doing the work in QuickBooks Online, then you're in the right place because I'm going to help you overcome that procrastination and overwhelm, I promise. Okay, so Bookkeeping Foundation Kit is $77 for the digital course. You get a digital copy of the workbook. When you purchase it from my TikTok shop, it's $84.99 plus sales tax, depending on where you live. And you get the physical copy of the workbook. I will ship it directly to you from my house. I'm going to write you a little love note on some of my homemade, handmade paper, and I will ship it to you. But when you purchase from the TikTok shop, you actually get immediate access to the course. So you're not waiting for the workbook to come in, and you can join me live tomorrow morning, 8 a.m.-ish Central Time, to work through part 3 of the Bookkeeping Foundation Kit. So thank you all so much for joining me. This was really fun. I see that I was able to do TikTok and YouTube live stream at the same time. So if you missed part of this stream and you want to go back and watch the whole thing, make sure you're following me, subscribe on YouTube. Again, everything is linked in my bio, but if you have questions, drop them into the chat before I hop off, or go ahead and DM me here on TikTok, and I will see it and I will respond to you. But come join me tomorrow morning, 8 a.m.-ish Central Standard Time for Bookkeeping Foundation Kit Part 3, a system for your continued success. All right, I'm going to get off of here. I hope everybody has an amazing Monday. Happy Monday. Have an amazing week, and I will talk to y'all soon.